Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Guys. Sorry, we're running a few minutes behind tonight. I got to chit-chatting backstage, so it's my fault. All right, well, the phone lines are open if you want to call us. It's 1-888-88-YERGZ, 1-888-88-YERGZ, and, of course, you can find us over on yergsradio.com, and the chat is now open, so hop on in. And let's see. Tonight we have a special guest. We have a director, and my co-host tonight is Warren. And I think I just heard Dina jump in here. Oh, it is Miss Dina. Well, she made it there. All right, I was beginning to get a little paranoid. So
I couldn't wear any eye makeup because I don't look presentable, but that's okay. You can't tell one way or the other, really.
I can just do that if you want. I just.
Yeah, put that thing over my face.
Yeah, I can do that. All right. Well, let's see. Dan is backstage waiting patiently. We were talking a lot before the show. He's got some really cool stories and things to talk. Let's bring him in. Director Dan, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. So, of course, our show is the Paranormal Guys, but we talk about everything. So, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And we got Warren and Dina, is it?
Dina, yes.
Dina, nice to meet you, Dina.
Nice to meet you, Dan.
Yeah, awesome. I'm pretty, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of layers to me. I'm like an onion, I got a lot to me. But, I've been doing film for over 2 decades now. So mainly focused in music video, but also all sorts of film, whether it be corporate or weddings or, short form films or just a bunch of different things, anything to do with film, anything my camera can kind of get its eye on, I'll shoot it. But I've got 4 kids with a wife here. We live in the Toronto area, Durham region specifically, which is about 40 minutes from the CN Tower, I like to say. Most people know about the CN Tower, but they don't know about everything else. But that's like a quick little nutshell. But yeah, I've got multiple businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. We have a wedding business, a cafe. We've got a social media company we call it a business solutions company, but we do a lot of content creation and social media management for businesses. And we actually produce a lot of podcasts. So we're producing about 9 podcasts currently. Everything from real estate stuff to just Q&A stuff, some conspiracy stuff. We've got a hip hop podcast that we run. We've got a bunch of different things. So I have like a pretty big music background as well. Been doing a lot of live events and everything like that over the years. But yeah, I've experienced a lot of cool stuff, and I thought this would be a cool opportunity to come on here and kind of get a little bit away from what I'm normally talking about, which is business and real estate and investing and money and that sort of thing, and kind of get into some other cool stories that I've got kind of in the vault.
Nice.
Well, the one thing about us is we are not normal. So
we are not.
That's why I'm here. Nope. I always say, call me normal when you got problems. You got problems, you call me normal.
I don't even know what normal is anymore after some of the shows I've had.
I hear that.
Yeah. Well, do you do any paranormal shows, or is it all pretty much business related stuff?
Most of it's like business related, but when we get into like the conspiracy stuff, like we have a podcast that we're launching now. We're only 2 episodes deep that we filmed them. We haven't even started releasing them yet, but we start getting into some cool conversations. Not so much paranormal, more conspiracy, like Epstein list stuff, and we talk about like even 9/11 inside job type of stuff, world is flat type of stuff, like just all kinds of stuff like that. But I definitely have a few stories anyways in the paranormal area.
Cool. Absolutely. Well, now I don't know, you might not be able to tell this because of an NDA, but any famous people that you directed for? Or?
Mostly in the hip hop world. I don't know if you guys.
Atlanta. So everybody's a hip hop star in Atlanta.
Right. So there's an interesting character named Riff Raff from United States who, like, a lot of people know him because he's just been on MTV and all that kind of stuff. He's one of the bigger artists I've filmed with. A bunch of rappers like Jadakiss and those guys, Chic Luch, and they're from like New York area. Filmed with an artist named Skepta, who's from the UK area. He flew down here and we filmed. But yeah, in terms of the celebrities, it's mainly been hip hop stuff, but I filmed with some pretty cool country bands that are locally famous over here, some cool metal bands from over here, and punk and stuff like that, but never anybody like super famous.
It was good. What's your favorite genre as far as music wise? Or do you have
Good question. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to say. Like I was brought up on classic rock, and so I feel like classic rock is one of those ones where it will always stand out to me. Even like a little bit of country, punk rock. Like I like a lot of punk, and I was a skateboarding kid, so I listened to like Blink 182 and Limp Bizkit and Korn and like that type of stuff, and but for me, like even like the Offspring and stuff like that. But the classics, I love the classics. I like to listen to some, whether it be like some old school REM stuff to AC/DC, stuff like that, and everything in between. Even as hardcore as like Black Sabbath stuff, like everything. Like I just like a little bit of everything. So.
Ozzy there, yeah. What do you think of the AI now? They reproduced the last Beatles album and added in the Beatles, or well, I shouldn't say added in. I guess put them all together. So that makes sense. You know what I mean? They're not all really there.
Yeah.
What do you think about stuff like that? Because it sounded good.
I mean, it's tough to be a hater on it because it's like you get to hear some new twists on certain things, and anytime that old school music is being promoted, I'm happy about it, because a lot of the newer music is kind of garbage. I find, like, I'm not a big fan of turning on the radio nowadays. So like, if you're messing with some old school stuff, I'm all for it. I don't necessarily like the recreation, because it's like now you're kind of, almost making a mockery of the old stuff. In a way. So
yeah.
If it's newer, if we're making something new with the old, like with the AI voices, I'm all for that. I want to hear some new cool stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I loved what Skrillex did with the Doors. I love that. So, but the jury is still out with me and the Beatles and AI. I don't know. I liked it, but it's funny. I mentioned this only because I recently got picked up on Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon to 2 doing a rock show. So now I'm kind of diving back into my old rock and roll stuff. So it's kind of cool, but all right. Well, the fans are asking. Let's get you out of the stuff. Wendell wants to know, what do you think about Bigfoot?
What do I think about Bigfoot? I mean, it's tough, man. I think, like, to be honest with you, like, all the proof that we have is not really concrete. And it's funny because I seen a meme that was like, you see Bigfoot, but maybe Bigfoot's just blurry. Like, if you were right there in front and Bigfoot was standing in front of you, maybe he's just a blurry being that we don't, because in all his photos, he's always blurry, right? So,
Hopscotch.
Yeah, I don't think it's too far fetched that there's a big, huge kind of human-sized apes out there. I don't think it's far fetched. I think I think they're more hiding in caves, if anything. That's my opinion on it.
Agreed. All right. We've even seen some evidence here on the show that there could be, and I don't know 100% yet. I don't know that you know anything 100%, but that they're interdimensional,
right?
Intradimensional. So, there's portals. People do just mysteriously disappear and never turn up again. So,
for sure. I think it's more likely that they've evolved to stay in the caves and underground and stuff like that, because it's like, there's not much for them out here. It's, a bunch of people that want to take your picture and quickly on social media. So maybe they're just, they don't want an Instagram. They're like my dad. They don't want an Instagram or Facebook.
Exactly.
Don't take my
Warren, you don't have to put the comment in the chat. You could talk. You're not muted.
No, I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, go nuts. Cut me off. I'll talk all night if you let me.
Well, how about the Paul McCartney thing about the original Paul McCartney passed and replaced him? Have you heard about that one?
Well, it's interesting because it's like the clones is what it really comes down to, right? It's people getting cloned, like famous celebrities that get cloned and all this kind of stuff. And I also don't think that's far-fetched, The reason why I say that too is because when you get to that level of success and there's that level of money behind everything, anything is possible, because it's like, we already know that they're cloning animals. They've been doing that forever. So eventually, and there is evidence that they're cloning humans, right? And They're cloning body parts. They're doing all types of crazy stuff. So I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I think if there's anyone that would be someone you want to clone, it would be a Britney Spears or a Paul McCartney or one of these big guy, right? You're going to clone someone big. It's not going to be, the drummer of a washed up band or something.
Right.
Bring Jim Morrison.
Well, what do you think, Warren?
Was just something, I don't know. It was something I'd read about, and there were secrets in like the Abbey Road vinyl album. It's like, oh no, Paul's dead, he's out of step. No. I'm hearing this from like a 60s hippie, and okay.
People say the same thing about like Eminem. After a certain point in his career, his music just completely changed, and a lot of people say that he was dead, but he had to get cloned because it was like the label that cloned him, and they were like, well, we can't let him die. This is our golden horse. So, if he's dead, then there stops the money, right? And so people say that about Eminem all the time. So I don't know if it's true.
I've heard that too.
That's one I hadn't heard.
Oh yeah, his look changed completely too.
Yeah. All of a sudden he's got a beard, but before he couldn't grow one or something, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I used to not be able to grow a beard.
And his jaw was chiseled and yeah. Whereas he always had that little poochy face, baby face, I guess it was.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it goes with the getting off the drugs too. So it could be, it could be either or. But like I said, I don't find it far fetched when you're at that level and there's that much money involved. I feel like anything's possible.
True. Yeah, could be anything.
The government has been working on everything from time travel to super soldiers. So, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think it's outside the norm to think that even possibly Bigfoot could have something to do with like a super soldier program.
It's true.
It's true.
I feel like something like a Bigfoot it's a good example of, humans aren't necessarily that top of the food chain per se. Like we like to, I feel like humans are ignorant. We think we're the best. We think we're like God's gift to this earth, which, hey, if you believe that, great. I'm not mad at you for that, but I think it's a little ignorant to think that way. And I think that, something like a Bigfoot is, if it was multiplied and, they were strength in numbers type of thing, could probably take us right out, especially if we didn't have all the firepower and all that. That's why I think that Bigfoot's in the caves too, because they haven't adapted to all the guns and all the crazy stuff that we've adapted to. And they're just more peaceful than us. And we're just like, we're going to take over the world because it's ours type of thing.
Yeah.
We're like Michael Bay. We like to blow things up.
Yeah.
For sure.
If there was I have never heard any conspiracy theories about Transformers, but if my car could change into a robot, I would be like all for that. So
yeah, I just always feel like if that was real, like it's somewhere in the process of the transformation, like we'd get crushed. You know what I mean? Like the machine wouldn't really care. It'd be like, I'm transforming. Like you're either gonna get with it or get hit by
it.
Yeah, I'm superior. You're squishy.
Yeah.
They're gonna squish right into me. It's gonna go with the flow.
One of the lines from that movie one of the Transformers movies I always like is where the special forces soldier turns and looks at the general and says, "If you believe in a God that created us, what created them?" Pointing to the robots, and I'm like, makes you wonder. So not that I believe in robots, but
and then Elon Musk walks around the corner and like, well, that guy right there, he could be the cause of it.
That's true. That's true. Well, just as a side note to the robot things, the Boston Police Department employs robot dogs for large events. Control a larger area than their officers can. And they're on AI pretty much. They can, if you see a perp, take him down. I'm like, that's kind of scary.
That stuff is super scary. Did you see that whole situation with the Miami Mall there where there was I'm sure you did.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, it's funny because it's like it happened. There was all this commotion about it. Everyone was talking about it. and then it was like it just got brushed under the rug. Like you don't hear about it anymore. It's like it's almost like
they
did a really good job at covering it up. But for some people fighting or fireworks or whatever they were talking about, to have that many police on site, it doesn't really add up, right? But then when you see some of those videos, there's talks about, okay, was it aliens? Was it big robots? Was it AI stuff? Like, what was it, right? Because there are these weird videos, and again, back to blurry videos. Meanwhile, everyone's got a 4K phone device in their hand, but now we only have blurry video of these random big beings kind of walking and people running from them, and then you have all these people talking about it, and it was almost like the movie Men in Black, like whereas like I feel like a bunch of people went there and were like, you saw nothing, like look here, everyone. Like it's wild because one moment you have all these eyewitness people talking about it, and then on the other moment you have a bunch of people trying to just debunk it that said they were there.
Yeah, all this kind of stuff. That was really strange.
Well, look at the stuff that landed in the backyard last summer of that construction crew, and they had everything from run everything. And within an hour before the helicopter from the news organizations could fly over, the entire scene was cleaned.
That was crazy.
And nothing happened, and the body cameras disappeared. So
I think that Men in Black thing is real, though. Like I think that movie is based on reality. I think a lot of it is, right? Like I think a lot of movies are there to desensitize people so that if they do come across it, they're like, oh, well, no big deal. Like I've already seen this, you know what I mean? But like, I think that Men in Black stuff is super real. Like there's people coming by paying people to shut up and NDAs and you sign this contract, and if you talk about it later, we're coming back for our money. Stuff like that happens all the
time. I don't discount that theory at all. We were on an expedition in the woods, looking for Bigfoot in Alabama. I'm kind of summarize this story. And a woman in dress clothes, dressed inappropriately to be out of the woods, found us in our remote location, knew my name specifically, first and last, and I had put nothing on social media about this. I mean, and I'm a nobody as far as podcasters, and this was 2 years ago, so I was even less of a nobody then. And she's like, "What are you doing up there?" And as she was talking to me and driving me crazy because I'm kind of like the safety officer as a paramedic, and I'm also the comms officer since I've been a dispatcher for so long. Stuff started going on out in the field, like a portal opened and like there was bipedal movement on FLIR and stuff. A mysterious raccoon hunter appeared out of nowhere, and she was up my butt. What's going on out there? What's going on out there? I want to talk to you about this. And I'm like, whoa, back. I mean, like in my space, like a close talker, like Jerry.
And
well, it's well documented in Trey Hudson's book, The Meadow Project. I'm chapter 13, ironically. But yeah, and somebody found her later locally in Alabama. She's a professional. She's a doctor, and she has no knowledge of that event.
She has no memory of it, or she has no memory of it, no knowledge.
That she claims that is correct, because an investigator found her from our team. It took a little bit, and we remotely reached out, and somebody like a third party contacted her and said, I don't know anything about it. No, I don't want to talk to him, because we were like, we'd like to come interview you now that we're outside the woods. But she claims she has no recollection. It was not her.
Holy moly.
Well, Sasquatch is an interesting one. Bigfoot is an interesting one. Like out west of Canada, in like Vancouver, BC area, and a lot of like the native lands around, like not so downtown, but like when you start getting on those ferries and you start going to the different islands out there, there's a lot of forested areas where, everywhere you go when you get down there, Bigfoot is a big part of the culture. Sasquatch is a big part of the culture. They've got them on, signs. They, watch out for Sasquatch and this kind of stuff. And it's crazy. So I was riding a ferry. We were going to where were we going now? We were Nanaimo, in DC, and I was taking my parents out there, and we were going whale watching and all that kind of stuff. And on our way, we actually ran into this guy who had a full tracksuit, and it was Sasquatch hunter and all this down his arm. And my dad's out back on the ferry smoking a cigarette when you're not supposed to be. Go figure. And he runs into the Mr. Sasquatch guy, who's also smoking a dart on the back of the ferry when you're not supposed to. And all of a sudden they get to talking, and he tells my dad his story, and my dad's like, well, I'm down here with my son. My son's filming a music video over here, but while we're here, we're going whale watching and all this kind of thing. And he goes, your son films? He goes, I'm trying to film a documentary of trying to find Sasquatch. So all of a sudden, my dad brings him back over onto the ferry. And for the rest of the ferry ride, we're sitting here talking with Mr. Sasquatch Hunter. And we're talking about filming a documentary for him and doing like a 2-week excursion in the woods. And he's telling me all his stories about his encounters and all the crazy stuff. And he's a native guy. So where he goes and he hunts Sasquatch is on native land. Mm-hmm. And the government has actually shut down a lot of his expeditions where he's going out to look for Sasquatch. They keep interfering with him and basically kind of blocking him at every point they can. And he's kind of like, well, why? Like, I'm not harming anybody. I'm not going out in the woods and doing anything negative. I'm not like, whatever, like you're letting all these people hunt and go crazy, or like, I'm just here just having fun trying to look for Sasquatch. Mm-hmm. And so anyways, long story short was we kind of applied for a grant to get funding from the government, because when you're native and you're in Canada, they have all these grants for various different things, whether it's opening a business or film projects or whatever it might be. And there's lots of funds available. And when we applied for the grant, it got denied, and he got a phone call, and it was intense for me, because I was just like kind of do minding my own business, and all of a sudden Sasquatch Hunter's here and he's trying to get me to film. And it was big. It was a decent amount of money. It was like a $75,000 grant, and he's like, you can have all the money. I don't want any money. I just want you.
Wow. You're like, okay.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I want drones. I want mics. I want it to be a good production. I want to make a series, and I want to sell it. Like, I want to sell the series, right? And he's like, I'll bring it in my spots. He's like, I've got spots. He's like, I've seen Sasquatch. Like and he's saying it very believable. And I don't know why somebody would devote their life and try to just like on a fake, like, on a whim, like, there's other things he could be doing. Like, so I think that there's a very big personal connection with that. And I think that especially out west in Canada, there's a huge connection out there. A lot of people have these encounters. They've had these experiences. So when people ask me about Sasquatch or Bigfoot, I have to say, I believe it. I think that Sasquatch is in the mountains. That's just what I think.
Well, I can vouch for that. I mean, a lot of the legends around here are probably the same in your area. I mean, we have the one that rings a bell talking to these guys, Mischief. I can't remember the Cherokee word for them, but they're mischievous. Mm-hmm. They're very, very small.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore about little people. And I mean, if you look over in
I didn't want to say it.
Fairies.
You don't like to say it, Warren?
I just know once you call their name, it's kind of...
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I have that problem with some things. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sportcat.
What about, no, it's not the Sportcat. What if
say it 3 times?
All of a sudden he pops up beside you.
Yeah.
I was thinking something else.
I have had something stuck into this mic over me while we're doing a show. And then on one show, I had something pulling my hair up. And I mean, I tuned in, and I was like, my hands are right here. There's no fan on. And you can see like the individual hairs. And I'm like, I called it a she for some reason was doing this. So, yeah.
Well, because I kept hearing a woman's voice.
That's right.
I kept hearing her speak.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell what she was saying. The only thing I heard her say once was, "Excuse me." And it was she was speaking right into the mic.
She's like, "Don't you talk over me. It's my turn to talk."
Yeah. She said, and that's the only thing I could understand her saying.
Yeah, I haven't released that episode yet. I need to go ahead and do that. So, but yeah. So crazy things have happened here. I've had orbs fly by me, which I don't understand the orb theory. I've seen them out in the woods. I've seen them at the house, but I don't understand why sometimes they're different colors. I mean, I know it's totally off topic, but sometimes they'll be red, sometimes they'll be silver, sometimes they're white. I don't know if it's your eyes perception or what, or if I have no idea.
That's a good question. I don't know either. I think orbs are definitely a thing, though. That's for sure. I think it's like different spirits kind of maybe reflect some kind of different lighting or whatnot, or, you know, just kind of like how we all have different shades of skin in a sense, right?
Yeah. He's also had drips of.
Oh yeah, that was the creepiest.
Water just come from nowhere.
Yeah, like ice cold to the bone, ice cold, like 31.9 degrees or whatever that would be in yours, almost zero. And you can feel it. And I photographed it. I'm sitting here, there's no water, there's no leaks. And you just get this feeling. And I have no explanation for it. Yeah, it's happened to me, and I don't really want that to ever happen again.
I mean,
it was.
What was that?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say you're kind of asking for it.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah. That to me, that because that Brenda's in the chat here. She told me that it was one of my ancestors crying for me. It's like,
that makes sense.
I don't know. I just don't want to tempt fate with it. So,
well, here's ectoplasm is usually a supernatural substance that is exposed to exclude from the body of a medium. So you could be.
No, it's coming from outside of him, though. It's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, I actually saw it drop on my arm the one time, and the other time I didn't see it, but I saw like a white streak by me, and that's where it was. So it was weird.
Yeah, it could be various different things, but I feel like you're definitely channeling, right? Like when you're doing this kind of a thing, like it's the energy you put out is the energy you get back to you, right? So I think, like, you know, like I said, that's why I say you're kind of asking for it.
Yeah, what do you have on your desk, though, Sportcat? I mean, you have minerals on your. You have minerals on your front desk.
My wife has supplied me with a healthy stash of all kinds of crystals that I use as my fidget spinners while I'm on the show now. So.
There you go.
Oh, those don't really. Well, some attract spirits, but
amplified.
Most of those are protection. A lot of those are for protection, though.
That's what she says, but I don't know.
Maybe that's why you're only getting a drip and you're not getting drowned.
That could be. Yeah.
Something's playing with your hair, Sportcat. Twirling it.
Another time we were on a podcast and his mic, he just sit on the table. It just picked up and moved over. It just like whoop.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because I used to have it on just a stand, and it was off to my left, and it hopped up on a mouse pad. Like, I'm like, and you can see it, and I'm like,
yeah. Did you see that? I was like, like, yeah, sure did. What the?
Weird things seem to happen around me. So, what kind of weird things have happened around you? I know you said you had some cool paranormal things too you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, it's this is actually a great segue because it's like it's similar, like, you know, kind of channeling and stuff like that. But I had a really cool, interesting thing that happened. I mean, it was a sad story, and it was you know, there was a lot of negativity around the story, but at the same time, very interesting. And, you know, on a spiritual level, or however you want to call it, it was kind of eye-opening, I would say, for me. I mean, I've had other experiences in the past, but this one was kind of like really crazy. So we were set out to shoot a music video, and in Canada, we have something called much fat grants. So when you go to do a music video, if you're a big enough artist and you've sold enough records and you get enough play on radio or TV or whatever, the government will fund your projects, whether it's your album, whether it's a tour, whether it's a music video. They'll give you these big grants. And so my company is one of those companies in Canada where if you apply for a grant and our company's producing the video, there's a good chance that you'll get the grant because we've had a lot of experience getting these grants. And so anyways, we write a grant. So I write the treatment for the video. I write all the details of what's going to happen in this video. We get approved for the grant, and the grant was for a hip hop artist named Murda Mars. Okay, and his R&B partner, his name is Jordan. So he sings on the song, and then Murda Mars raps on the song. And so, Murda Mars is already a pretty aggressive name. And, a lot of people called him Mac 10 Mars. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with what Mac 10 is, but it's a high velocity type of, or, many rounds. It shoots very fast. And, anyway, so besides the point, but so I meet the artists, we get in the studio, and, we write, we kind of start listening to the music and coming up with further ideas. Because after I write the treatment, we get approved for the grant. Then we get in the studio, we start talking about the ideas, and then we start actually like booking locations and extras and props and all this kind of stuff. Right. So this is my first time meeting the artist. Never met him before. Right. And come there, shake hands, that sort of thing. We're all hanging out and kind of getting on a good vibe and all that kind of stuff, and come up with all the ideas. We're all like, yeah, this is going to be the best video ever type of thing and all that kind of stuff. And so now it comes time when, we book all the stuff. It's about, I think I would call it like 2 to 3 weeks out before we're going to shoot. And he actually gets murdered. So Murda Mars ended up getting murdered, and he actually got killed with a high, like it was probably a Mac 10, I would call it, something like that. Something that was like, it was almost like karma, almost in a sense, or like not irony more than karma. I shouldn't say karma, more of an ironic thing. His name's Mac 10 Mars, and then he got killed with like one of those types of weapons. Anyways, so he's driving a really nice car. It's like this nice white, beautiful vehicle. I think it was a Bentley or something like that. It was like a really expensive vehicle, and it was just riddled with bullets, and he ended up crashing into a pole and stuff, and he was like found dead on scene. So I'm thinking, okay, this video is a wrap. We're not going to shoot this video anymore. I'm like, rest in peace. This is sad, all that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to be shooting this video anymore. But I get a call, and it's the exact opposite. They're like, listen, we're still shooting this video. Now it's in memory of Murda Mars. And what we're going to do is we're going to use these kids, and we're going to show like kind of recreate like an old version of him. So we get I think it was his nephew or something like that ended up playing his role. So he kind of looked like him, and he always wore like bucket hats. So the kid was wearing a bucket hat in the video. So needless to say, we re-strategize in how we're going to shoot this video. So now it's shoot time. So we get on set, we're about to film, and first day comes, and we're in a place called Regent Park. Regent Park in Toronto area is, they call it the hood, right? So we're like in the hood, basically, right? And so nerves are already high because you're in the hood, right off the bat. And then you're filming for a guy who was murdered. So you just don't know. Maybe whoever murdered him hates him enough that maybe he's going to come back and do something stupid at the shoot, right?
Yeah.
So we get there, and somebody pulls up this car that we're going to shoot with or whatever. And the car comes, and they park it and all that kind of stuff. And then one thing leads to another, and this guy shows up out of nowhere, and he drives up, and he's drunk, and he like parks up skirt. Like he's, everyone's kind of like on, tilt, because we're a little scared, like what's going to happen here. Guy comes out, he starts freaking out and all this kind of stuff. And then somebody calms him down, and then he ends up not being a threat. But the reason why he was freaking out is because the car that was being used was actually in relation to the person that had murdered him. So everything that we shot, we couldn't use anymore. So now we're all kind of scrambled in the parking lot. It's a beautiful day, by the way, I must say. It's a gorgeous day. In the summertime, it's like it's a gorgeous day in the hood. And so anyways, we go over, and we're all hanging out, and we're
day in the hood.
yeah, beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so we're all hanging out by the cars and trying to figure out, okay, where do we go from here? Because now we got to figure out, basically we got to shoot another day, because the car was like one of the main props in the video. So we're all standing around, and all of a sudden these crazy clouds come above us, and me being, I like to call myself Marty McFly. So like when I'm on set, if things go sideways, I'll figure out a way to kick it back into gear, and we're going to get the shot, and we're going to figure this out. Right. So I'm trying to come up with these ideas of things we can shoot and all this kind of stuff. And these clouds come over top, and all of a sudden lightning strikes, boom, right in between the group. There's a big group of people. I'm talking like 50 people or so, all kind of scattered around, almost like a circle. Like there's almost like a half circle on one side and a half circle on the other side. And the lightning struck right between us. It left a mark on the pavement. Oh, wow. It was crazy.
That is nuts.
And the way I took it was like we were doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And because it was the person who had shot him or whatever's car, or it was in relation to him anyways. And the artist's name's Murder Mars. He was shot. And so it was almost like a shot from the sky that kind of hit the ground right in between us all. And we all just stood there and all looked at each other, and we were like, whoa, like it was one of the craziest things I think that has ever happened. And just because of like just how I laid it out there, like all these things adding up, and like I'm telling you, this cloud rolled by, that lightning struck, no rain came, that cloud just kept on going, and it was still a beautiful day. And
that is nuts. That would freak me out. I think I'd be like, I'm stopping for the day.
I had chills. My like the hair was standing up on my arms. I was like, what just happened? I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get that on film by any chance?
Of course not. Of course
not. Yeah.
But we did get the aftermath, like the video of everybody kind of like shocked after, and like video of like the marking on the ground and stuff like that to make sure that it was kind of documented. But yeah, no, all cameras were off. We weren't filming anything. We were all standing around with our fingers up our nose, and yes, we didn't get the good shot, but I'll never forget it. And you know, to this day, whenever I see certain people that were on set, we're always like, yo, remember that? You know,
yeah.
Holy shit. Like that was crazy, man. So it's a wild story, but I mean, it's kind of long and dragged on a bit, but I mean, it's not like it's overly crazy, but it is to me, because if you were there, you'd get it. You'd be like, oh shit. Like,
yeah. So the car that y'all were shooting with was in relation to the person that murdered him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dang. And that was just by chance. You didn't know that initially, right?
I had no clue. I'm clueless to everything that was going on with all that. And then when that guy showed up, I was like, uh-oh, something's about to go down. And he was just there to say, you guys can't do this with that car.
Man, that's wild.
What would have happened if he went ahead and did that with the car? I mean, we're in relation from the lightning strike, what the car would have been. Would you have been right in it, or?
No, it was off to the side. It wasn't quite there, but who knows, right? Because by the time that we got into that point, that car was already gone.
Oh.
Because we found out you can't do it. Whoever owned the car was like, all right, I'm out of here, right? They drove off. And then we're all just standing around in the parking lot trying to figure out what we're going to do next. So we were standing around for a good about half hour or so. And I think like me's trying to continue to push the shoot is almost like what provoked that to happen. Because it was almost like, how did that guy even show up, right?
Yeah.
Like, to begin with. And I'm telling you, if you were there and you seen the way this guy showed up, it was like right out of a movie. Like he just drove right up to a place, and he's driving straight into a place where you're not supposed to be driving straight into a place. And all of a sudden his car parked right there, and he comes out and he's yelling, freaking out. You could tell he's drunk. He's kind of like a little bit flailing everywhere. And you could tell he was like in close relation with the victim who had passed away. Right. So he was there to defend him. And then someone kind of shoot him off set. Like, okay, I hear you. Thanks for letting us know, but you got to get out of here. You're scaring the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, PA's like, go away.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird that you say it like that, because that's pretty much the way the woman in black showed up in the middle of the woods with us.
Right.
I mean, just rolled in out of nowhere in like a car that's not even supposed to be in the flipping woods. Drunk. She went over and just like peed in front of us. I mean, it was like something it was weird. It was like she had no concept of human behavior. I mean, she literally did. She was drinking Bud Light. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but she's like, "Oh, excuse me," and she just walked to the edge of the campsite and just pulled her pants down and squatted. I mean, like, and we could all see. It was like,
that is wild.
So yeah, and she, like you said, she just rolled up drunk, raising hell.
She was drunk.
She appeared to be, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. She was drinking. I swear, I don't know how many beers were in that 6-pack, but she had 12 of them while she was there. Yeah, I'm talking straight up, just like you would a guy in a bar. I mean, she was like,
yeah, that's wild. I think it's weird because, like, even me, like, I've shot a lot of like rest in peace type of videos where people are making a song and, you know, and condolences of their friend or family member or whatnot, and it always seems like something happens where, and you know, maybe it's the person that's doing the song that, you know, something happens, and because what you're doing at the time, that you start seeing the signs, the different things, and you're more conscious of it than if you were just to do a regular old song. But I also don't really believe in that. I think that it's an energy thing. Like I'm really big on energies and frequencies, and I think that's what it is more than anything. That's why I say, like, you're kind of asking for it here, for something crazy to happen to you on this show, because and even if it's small things, right? Like, and I mean, even like that lightning striking, for example, to me, that's a small thing. It's not like a big thing.
It's a big thing. Lightning is a big thing.
To me, it's a big thing, but like to others, they might just be like, oh, whatever. It was just,
no, that's a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
But the way you describe it, after having, as a paramedic firefighter, responded to lightning strikes, that doesn't sound like a typical lightning strike.
No.
I mean, naturally wise. So, you know, I mean, we're on the scene of one. It was an oak tree that was, I don't know, pretty big around, and it, for like a 2-block radius, sent splinters that looked like toothpicks into the side of concrete walls.
Oh my Lord.
I can't imagine anybody been outside, but it took the tree down. It was like 100-foot tree, took it totally down. I mean, you know, so the power for it to come and nobody get injured or they're not being, it doesn't sound natural. I would call it supernatural.
Did it hit on concrete or on the concrete or?
Yeah, and the funny thing is there was a few trees around, and at first when it happened, I thought it had hit a tree. I was like, okay, that thing hit a tree. But then all of a sudden you look at the ground and you just see that mark on the ground. Like it looked like somebody had gone like, you know, like a towel when you whip someone with a towel. It looked like that on the ground, right? And I was like, wow, like that is insane. And you know, you realize, like, because it happened so fast that you almost don't know what you just saw in a sense, but it like you realize it, like, as you look at the mark, you're like, okay, what I just saw was lightning hit the ground. You know what I mean? You almost have to explain that to yourself because it's not something that you see often, right? Like, I've seen lightning strike things like over here, over there, or far in the distance, but this was like, I want to say 10, 12 feet from me.
And in the middle of what, 50 people, you said?
Yeah, and like it just so happened that people were on that side and people were on this side. There was nobody in the middle.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Like,
and if it had actually hit on the ground instead of concrete, it probably could have hurt people.
Or if it was raining and there was puddles and someone might be standing in the puddle or whatever, kids playing in the rain or kids playing in the like. You just don't know what could have happened. But the fact that nobody was harmed, really, like, I took it as like a warning shot. Like, that's what I've always called that. It was always, to me, it was a warning shot. Like, first of all, don't film there. Don't film with those people, because I think that there was people there. Because me continuing to push the shoot, the car's gone now. Right. So what's the harm in shooting, right? So I think it was some of the people that were there. And that's why it was like, no, you're not doing this here, and you're not doing with these people. These people are not going to be in my video. This isn't how it's going down. Right?
Yeah.
So, was there a loud thunderclap with it, or?
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine it would be deafening.
Yeah. It was honest. It was chilling for sure. I say the hair was standing up on my arms, and the fact that I'll never, like, I still remember it like it was yesterday, right? Like, that just, it's like, it's one of those moments where, like, I'm pretty forgetful, you know, especially I've shot a lot of content. So it's not easy to remember every shoot. I've probably filmed over, 500 music videos or so, like over 20 years. So it's been a lot, like, and for me to remember anything like that, it has to be something that really stands out. Cause I've shot a lot of stuff and I know that there's other stories, but none that stand out quite like that.
Yeah.
Did you have to recall or remember any energy drains on any of like your batteries or lighting, anything that required portable power?
To be honest, again, we kind of wrapped it up. And then after that happened, I think we were all just like, okay, let's get the hell out of here. We are not welcome here anymore.
Yeah.
One thing was kind of leading after another.
Yeah. I know a lot of times when a lot of supernatural events occur, if you have any like flashlights or radios or anything, you'll hear a lot of people say that the batteries just went from 100% to nothing.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because it did remind me of a really cool other story that was like, it's definitely paranormal. So there's a place near where I live and it's called Camp 30 and it's an old prisoner of war camp. And it's been sort of not upkept, but not demolished and not, it gets monitored so that, it doesn't get too crazy with the vandalism and stuff like that there. But I mean, over time, like it's been there for a very long time, it is abandoned and it's, windows are broken out. Some of the building windows are boarded up. There's graffiti everywhere. It's actually really cool. There's about 8 buildings that are still standing and, one of them has a pool in it. One of them it's got a pool on one side and a basketball court on the other side. And then it's got like some other cool buildings that have some boiler rooms. And it's a really cool place to film music videos. So I filmed a lot of like punk rock videos, metal music videos, even some hip hop. I've done various different videos. And so I was shooting there. I was filming. It was actually a Toronto Raptors tribute video. And we get there and we've got these red cams. And I don't know if you guys know red cams, but red cams are like what they film like Transformers movie on, for example, or they're like the big dogs. It's a big, production style camera. So anyways, we rent them. That's, we have tons of digital SLR regular cameras and stuff like that. But when we do the bigger productions, we go and rent these cameras. So when you rent them, they come fully charged up. Everything's ready to go. And you grab these packs and you go, right? And we're driving out all the way over here. And it's to get to the spot by itself is tricky because you got to walk all these paths and then you got to get into the window and then you got to get in and you got to bring out the equipment. And it's not just an easy walk in and get in there. And I remember we got in there and it was day 1 of shooting and we get all the way there and all of a sudden we go to plug everything in. We've got lights going. We've got like everything set and, we go to turn on the camera and it won't go on. It just won't turn on. And then we're like, okay, well, it must just be the battery, right? So you pull out the one battery. You've got a big bay of batteries that the studio has already charged up for you before you go. Like they've never not charged up the battery packs. And every single battery was dead. And we were all standing there looking at each other going, what? Like, first of all, we were more mad than anything. I don't think any of us really right away went to like, oh, this is like paranormal. We were just more pissed off. Like, oh shit, we just got all the way here. We don't even have a battery.
Yeah.
Right? That we were more upset about that. But like, as we're walking back, we're all trekking back because we're like, okay, well, let's just shoot again later, or we'll come back tomorrow or whatever. We have the camera for like 10 days or whatever. So, but it's more of a frustration thing at this point. Everybody's frustrated. But then all of a sudden, like, it's quite a bit of a walk back. I would call it a 10, 15 minute walk back to the car. And, as we're walking back, we all start talking. And then all of a sudden we're like, maybe it's the prisoner of war camp that we're at. And it's like, it's the spirits telling us, get the fuck out of here and don't film here.
Yeah, could it be?
My language.
It's okay.
And so, and it's that's not the only experience that I had there. It's funny. This one's not really a paranormal, but it's a pretty cool story. We were filming a music video for a rock band, and the song was called Toys. And I had this bright idea that we'll go to Camp 30, and we'll set up all these toys on these cool shelves and have like they're all these disoriented toys though, like an eyeball's missing in the teddy bear, or the Barbie's arms ripped off or something. All the toys were disoriented. So my bright idea was the band is going to play in front of all the stuff that's on fire behind them.
Okay.
Inside of this building.
Oh.
So we get inside. I mean, mind you, this building was like a big garage. Everything was pretty much concrete and cement around it.
Oh.
It wasn't like wood. It wasn't really a fire hazard. And like, I have a lot of experience burning things for film, let me be clear. And so, so basically we got there and we started lighting everything on fire. We start doing the shots. The shots are amazing. Everything turns out amazing. And we're sitting there filming, and all of a sudden you just hear bam, 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 bam. We're like, what the heck is this? It's the fire department.
Oh, for real?
It's the fire department. And they had their sirens on and everything. We just couldn't hear anything because we had these big PA speakers blasting the music, because in order for the drummer to hear the music and play in sync, you got to have music blaring. So we just had this music absolutely blaring. We got things in flames and all this kind of stuff. And one of the far off farms, I guess, had seen the smoke coming out and had called the fire department. And so now all of a sudden we walk out, and it was funny though, because we're thinking we're all by ourselves here. We've got all this, we've got it all. No one's ever gonna catch us here, right? And we walk out. There's 3 fire trucks, a full crews. Like, we're like, what? Where'd you guys come from? Like, it was so funny. But they actually were really cool about everything. They made us put out the fires, and we had to stop shooting, but they didn't fine us, and we didn't get in trouble. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I figured most of that stuff you go back in and do CGI with the fire.
Which we've done a lot of that. There's been that, but again, a bright idea by me. I like to be authentic sometimes, and it was really cool though, because actually having like the fire burning, like you can actually see like the certain things, like the bear's arm gets burnt so much that it falls off or whatever. You get a nice cool close-up shot of that. It's a lot better than CGI, that's for sure.
That's true.
I like so.
But prisoner of war camp. Don't go film there, because they don't want you there. The spirits.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
I don't think spirits like when people go around fucking around. Again, sorry about my language there. I don't think they like it, like if that's their place of peace and you're going in there and you're trying to film, I think they feel like it's almost a mockery, or like you're drawing too much attention to this. You're using my space for the wrong reason. This is my, it's like if I came to your house and just started filming on your front lawn kind of thing. Like, you'd be like, get the hell off my lawn.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah. And there's things around us that we can't see. So,
right.
There is that. And Uncommon Soul was asking if she wanted to know what kind of movie director you were. You do more of the music videos, and that's what you were filming then.
Yeah. More music videos. I have a lot of scripts written for movies. It's very hard to fund the movies. That's the hard part here. Like all these grants that I was talking about, a lot of them are more for music video, and the artists, not so much for film. So for me, I have a couple really low budget films that I'm looking on filming soon. I've got a couple comedy ones, and I have like a horror themed one. I have like a sci-fi one that actually did pretty good in there's a few places where you can basically go there and you can pitch your scripts, and you have to get past certain rounds, and I've made it to like 3rd round, and then didn't quite make it to that 4th round. And when you get to that 4th round, it's like millions of dollars of budget that goes behind it, and they buy your script off you as well.
Wow.
And then you get to actually be on set. So to get to the 3rd round was cool, but not making it to 4th round sucked. But because you put a lot of effort into the scripts, right? The scripts are everything. I actually have a really cool script. I'll give you guys a couple of tidbits of it, because I think it's cool, and I think it's a little bit relevant to this channel for sure, which is it's basically about it's like your firstborn son is going to be your body, your capsule later. It's a sacrifice that happens. And so your son knows it, and most of the kids are proud of it. Like they're like, I'm the firstborn, so they're the most physically in shape out of all the kids. They're the smartest, they're the ones that are trained, all these kind of things. And so, they take a lot of pride in the fact that they're going to be sacrificed later, and this body is going to be for their father. And basically, the second in line, let's say your second born son, is like almost like certain families, the second born son's like, man, I wish I was born first, almost like they wish they could have died for their father, right?
Yeah.
But then you have these other families where the oldest son doesn't want to be sacrificed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, dude, this sucks. Why do I got to get sacrificed? But he doesn't have a younger brother that's dying to be sacrificed, or and then there's other families that do have that dynamic where the oldest son is meant to be sacrificed, but then the guy underneath him is like, oh, this guy's a bitch. He doesn't want to do it. I'll do it. You know what I mean? But that's not the way it goes. And so anyways, there's like a vigilante type of squad that actually hunts down the ones that run away. So that's the overall concept of it. It's almost like a Black Mirror episode, if you would, but it's a cool script. That's
pretty
gone
deep.
pretty far. Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, and I thought that up because I got 4 kids of my own, and like I don't want to die, right? So I think that's how. Yeah, family man, exactly.
Come here, kid.
Yeah. My older son doesn't like that movie.
Yeah, I'm sure. he's like, wait, Dad.
Yeah. So what are you trying to say, Bob?
Yeah.
I just thought it's an interesting concept, though, especially with the way that AI is going in the future here, and all that kind of stuff. I thought that, and I think that's why it did so well in the kind of like the readings and stuff like that, is because the concept is very relatable to a lot of people, especially in this day and age. Hearing about all these clones and people basically going to be getting these chips in their heads where they're basically going to turn to AI, and you can upload your consciousness into like another shell, if you will. Kids do change as they grow up on
dynamic. What if you had a daughter that was the eldest,
right?
And didn't have any sons? What would you do?
and it's funny because it starts asking all these questions, right? Because even the way I wrote the script, it's like there's nothing in it for like the women don't have that, right? It's only the men that keep going. To keep the lineage going, right? Because if you think about it, right, like the man carries the last name and then gives the last name. Whereas if the woman stayed alive and she remarried, let's say, that last name changes, right?
Yeah.
So the concept is very deep. Like I'm giving you guys like the elevator pitch of it, but it goes deep. It's very cool backstories. It's a trilogy. It's not just a one-off. It's one that's got 3 movies that go along with it. And I think it'd be a great series that I think a lot of people would love and they would really relate to.
I like the idea.
Do you write any books too, or
everything that I write becomes a book?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a book version of it, and especially now with ChatGPT's really helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
I'm able to take my scripts and convert them to books very easily. I had a book editor for about a year and a half now, 2 years, and ChatGPT kind of took her position a little bit, and she still helps, but ChatGPT does most of the work now. And so when you throw like knowing how to prompt ChatGPT has become a very big skill of mine, and being able to take my scripts and converting them to books has been a big thing. So I've got about 3 movies that are also books. So I have one that's like a comedy. It's called Door Knockers, and it's about door-to-door residential salespeople. It's like it's almost like Anchorman, if you've ever seen Anchorman. So the comedy humor is really a lot like Anchorman, and you see how you have like the different networks against the different networks. So you've got residential sales over here versus your B2B sales over here, and like they kind of meet, and it's all funny and stuff. But it's all about the knock, 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 the interactions at the door, and they're all just like really funny. So I have that one that's a movie and a book. None of it's released. Everything's always in the back end until I can really kind of put behind it what needs to go behind it. I have a book called Don't Mess with Angie. It's a movie and a book, and it's about a lady who always kind of holds her tongue and doesn't speak her mind, and she ends up getting kind of I guess you could call, when a gypsy puts almost like a spell on you.
Cursed.
Yeah, and the curse is that you have to speak your mind, and you're not. It's almost like like Yes Man or whatever with Jim Carrey, where like he has to always
liar,
say yes,
liar, or whatever.
Or liar. Yes, sorry, yeah. Even that's probably more like it actually. Liar. Yeah. So now she just has to always say what's on her mind, but because that happens to her, bad things happen, but also it's a ripple effect of good things that end up happening. And like the whole moral of that story is speak your mind and don't hold your tongue, because don't let people walk all over you and, that sort of thing. And, you got to stick up for yourself. So it's kind of a book for kids, but it's also a book for adults. It's like a little bit for everybody. So that one's a pretty cool one. And I have that sci-fi one that I told you about. That's also like a trilogy of books as well. That could actually technically be a lot more than 3 books, but I haven't quite finalized that, how it actually ends, like the trilogy part of it. So technically it's always open that it could just keep going, It's almost like a Harry Potter, if you will, or
that's cool.
It really could keep going, passing it down and passing to son until
you just have to keep character building and making people fall in love with the characters, and then times change, so certain things change in the story. Like you got to keeping it interesting and stuff like that. But and then the world could go to crap by the end of the 3rd one, and then so it's because that's the interesting part of it in my head is like it's like no one I've had these conversations with people before, and it's like, would you really want to live forever? And it's like, no, not really. Because it's almost like you eventually will have to see everything crash and burn, and you will be the one person that sees everyone you love pass away. You'll be, so it's almost like, do you want to be there for that? Or, and so that's the cool thing about the movie though, is because, I get to write the ending, which again, I'm still sort of working on, but I have an idea of what I want to do, but it's almost like, do you want the world to end, or do you want it to keep going? Right. Like do you want it to go to like dinosaur age, right? Like everybody goes extinct, almost like 80% or whatever they say, 90% goes to extinct, but then there's still that little bit left, and then it gets rebuilt.
Repopulate.
Do you want that? Or you guys seen that movie? Is it called End of Days?
Is that the one where the last few people lock themselves in a cave right before it happens?
I don't know that I've seen that.
There's actually 2 versions of it. There's a European version and an American version.
Oh, cool.
And it is scary because there's the one guy locked. If we're thinking the same thing, there's the one guy that missed the getting in the cave by like a second. And he's like the last one, and he crosses the 4th wall in the film, sorta. And then it's just a roll of credit.
Right. Doesn't really give you everything, but it's like that's kind of where I'm going with it. Almost the ending where it's like some kind of mega incident happens, and then like that one's asteroid, I believe it's like an asteroid or comet or whatever hits the Earth, but before the big comet hits, there's a bunch of series of smaller ones that come out and kind of destroy a lot of areas and stuff. So I'm thinking something like catastrophic happens, but then the fathers and like the trap squad, if you will, still Volcano's cool too. Ice Age is even cool, right? I think Ice Age is scarier.
Awesome.
I'm wondering what they're going to do with The Walking Dead next, because good Lord, you think all the zombies would be dead by now.
You think someone would go starving by now in The Walking Dead? Like there's no food left. I guess you could still grow some stuff, but I mean, like, geez. There's no way there's any good steaks left.
You follow any of that, like The Walking Dead type of stuff?
I used to watch it, but I got kind of bored of it because it just was like the same old.
The creator is Robert Kirkman, and he is notorious for stirring up things in the comic book world. Of course, he owns a comic book company, and that's how The Walking Dead started. And here recently, he added it again back into the little stir it up, because they were like, "Where did the zombie apocalypse? How is Rick going through all that?" And he stirred it up again, and he said, wouldn't it just be crazy if the last episode is Rick waking up in the hospital, which is where we started, and his eyes, he was in a coma, and it was all a dream. And he stirred that part again. I think he does that just to get people aggravated, but it's like, I hate you because that could be real.
I know.
Yeah.
I
love those
like
ones,
movies
though.
that do that. You do?
I do, because
can't stand it.
it's like I like anything that has a cool twist. Anything that's got a cool twist. Like that's not the I would say it's not the most creative twist. Let's call it that.
No, it's
kind of like that's the easy way out. That's a cop out, I would say.
Yeah.
Rather than having to get a little creative and create something different. But it's also cool because then you think of like, okay, that was all made up, but then it gives the door opening to, okay, maybe not a zombie apocalypse, but now you could do something completely different. You know what I mean? He wakes up and we haven't really seen his original world, what that could look like.
Oh, that's
so
true.
Like all of a sudden you could make it where, pigs are flying. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can go any other direction.
Yeah, maybe that world's actually more messed up than the zombie apocalypse. And that's why he was having that crazy dream about a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Or the government was experimenting because he had some rare disease or something. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
God only knows. Everything Kirkman touches turns to gold.
It could be anything.
I love it.
But no. I really doubt that he would do that. I think he just likes to stir the pot every now and then to get the fan base pissed off at him, because that just gets them like watching more intently for any little flaws or any little, what do they call them? Where there's a scene that doesn't match up. Is it a cookie? What is it when cookies?
Easter egg.
Yeah, Easter egg. Yeah. So because I think that's what it really stirs.
That's what I love about the Marvel comic movies, man. There's all these Easter eggs and things. If you didn't watch it properly, then you got to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh crap.
That's the good thing about them, though. You can go back and rewatch them, and you find stuff different.
And what amazes me the most about those is that started 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What they just did today, and they knew they were going to get there. How in the heck do you do that?
That's a good question.
Good.
I know you're a writer and you're probably more creative than I would be, but just having, because there's so many, and now they got the Disney World.
Oh yeah.
Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars is wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think reverse engineering, that's like the best way to put it. It's like you got to come up with the most bizarre outcome later. You got to think about that, like that 20 year down the road, if that's what you're going for. If you're going for a legacy, other movie series, and again, when you're a big guy and you've got the studio money and all that kind of stuff, it gives you that freedom to actually think 20 years like down the road, because this thing's going to ride type of thing. So you can write that. Like if you're Spielberg, you can do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, whereas if you're smaller time and you're coming up, you're like trilogy. You're like, that's because that's more realistic. Right. So that's why I think this movie here, compared to my other movies, it's got a lot more depth to it and could go further, because I just said screw it, because when I saw the millions of dollars of budget, I actually wrote that specifically for that line of basically entering, and it was they were specifically looking for sci-fi. They were specific, like there were certain things that they were looking for, so I kind of catered to that a little bit, so I wrote it for that. But I left it with, like, first of all, I left it where it could be a really good trilogy, but I also left it where this could be a TV series, rather, like, so if you don't want it for a movie motion production, this could be a 12 episode series that has 4 seasons, 5 seasons, right? Because you could write a lot of episodes with this. And what I'm giving them, I gave it where this is basically the concept, and here's how we can develop the overall story and the backstories and all the love relationships and all the family relationships in it, and then the action part of it, the sci-fi part of it. Here we could go this way with it, we could go that way with it. It's funny because when I first wrote it, I had like 3 alternate kind of ways it could go, and I wanted to submit it like that, but I couldn't, so I had to like pick out of the 3. So I was like, I had like different people read it, and I was like, what do you guys think? And everybody voted on the same one. So I was like, okay, cool. That's the one, right? And it was definitely where things go sideways with the world and that kind of vibe.
So you got to the third level?
The third round. I got to
round.
the third round reading, and I was top 3 in the third round.
Oh,
but they
that's
only
so
picked
good.
2 people in that third round, and I was top 3. So I was number 3. So because I didn't make it to the final round. And final round, you automatically get paid because they buy your script.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily, that doesn't mean that your movie's going to get produced, but they buy your script off you. So
I'm sorry. Can you resubmit it or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't sign anything that was like it's exclusive to them or anything like that. I wouldn't have done that because it just wouldn't have made sense at that point. If they were going to buy it, and then that's why when you make it to that next round, you're selling it. You're selling technically you're selling the rights to it, but you're still attached to it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you get to be the director though. That doesn't mean that you get to be really anything, but you do still have say. You still get to go there because usually the director will then start picking your brain. And they'll get you to help rewrite it and stuff like that. And like, they might even, I think there's like a round of questioning when you get past that next level. You actually go they fly. I don't know if they fly you down and pay for it, but I don't know if it got because I never got there. So I don't really know the specifics, but I from my understanding is they pay you, they buy the script off you, but then they also fly you down. They pay for your accommodations. You go there and then you meet with them. And then from there, it's like, you're almost like in a battle with this other person in a sense, right? And like you really have to sell it then, and you're probably really selling yourself as the asset to the script and to the team of people that are going to produce this movie.
Right.
So I think I would have stood a good chance. I think I would have done pretty well if I would have made it there. I'm actually really curious to see who they actually picked because you don't ever know.
Yeah. Are there places that you can, or studios you can go to try to sell your script?
Yeah.
Have you thought about that or?
Thought about it, but after that happened, I actually got more excited about just doing it myself.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. That would probably be best.
It'd be expensive to do it.
It would be, but
it's
you'd have
out of my range.
Control.
Then I get creative control over it. I get to direct a movie that's like that big of a scale, but I got to find the investors for it. I got to there's a lot of things that have to come together for that one. But my goal with film has never really been about making a whole bunch of money and all this kind of stuff. It's about being creative. I feel like I think that's just like a passion of mine, is just being creative. So if I can just put out a book of it, cool.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. And then if the book goes out and gets enough attention, then I can kind of shop it with the book, right? Rather than trying to shop it with the script. But at least now I can actually make some kind of money and see what kind of interest this book has. And again, with the book, it can be trilogy, it can be an 8 series. Like if it does well, it could be a number 1 seller. You never know. And again, then maybe it attracts some attention, and maybe some people want to, jump on board, and you could get more investors if people fall in love with the book and it's a big seller. It draws, it's easier to go and now pitch that, right? Whereas like a script is just a script. I'm like a nobody, so I'm not like this guy that's got a bunch of movies under his belt or something like that. If Scorsese's pitching a script, the studio picks it up.
Right, exactly.
It's not hard for him. People are knocking on his door and saying, "Hey, can you write another movie, please?" You know what I mean? No one's knocking on my door, so I gotta basically just create my own path, if you will. So.
Yeah, I definitely do the books as a trilogy. I think those go over well.
I heard a rumor in the Hollywood realm that Samuel Jackson never turns down a movie or a script that's given to him. So, hey, get in front of him, and that guy's got lots of...
That's not true. I read that the other day.
I don't know. I've heard that, but...
No, it's not true.
Yeah,
not true.
I think shopping it around would be fun, but when you got 4 kids and you got 4 businesses and you got... it's tough to put your energy in that area because there's politics involved. There's you got to go down and shop it. You can't just email it to, you can email it to people, but now it's sitting on a desk and sitting in a queue. You got to know someone that knows somebody, get it in the right hands, that sort of thing. Or again, I could just keep looking, and there's agencies too. You can get an agent that shops it around for you. There's brokers, and there's a lot of things that I could be doing with that, but for me, that side of things is definitely more of a passion. It's like a creative outlet for me to kind of just make a cool story, you know, like, and that's why I love music videos, because, you know, artists come to me with their song and I get to interpret it my way, right? Write my own script, if you will, but they're short films in a sense. Each music video is almost a short film.
Well, you know, a lot of the directors, comic book writers, creative people that we've interviewed, they don't necessarily start out in this to say, "Oh, I'm going to be a millionaire." You know, it's like me with the podcast. You know, I started out because I was injured on the job and needed something to do for my spare time, and you know, it's grown over time, and now I'm on FM radio and all this other stuff. So, but that wasn't my goal. You know, my goal was to sit around and BS with friends and meet some cool people. So,
mission accomplished.
Have a little fun.
It's getting there. It's getting there. It's funny because once the ball starts rolling, and you were absolutely right. There's a lot of sweat equity and heart and soul that goes into these things. And once it starts rolling, if you just get one little nick in it, it hurts your feelings because you're like, "Oh, I was so close." You know, if you just
it could bring it down a little bit emotionally, but for me, I'm definitely a type that like lets things roll off my shoulders. It sucked not to get to that final round because like it would be to me it would just be like just to see it come to life is that's like forget the money, forget this, forget the fact that your movie's in a movie theater or whatever that could have happened, right? It's on Netflix or whatever, right? But like just to see the vision come to life it's like because when you write these things they become like your little baby, like you know, like it's like your own little thing, but it's kind of like they're just kind of tucked away. So I can't wait till I have them all in book form, hardcover, you know, online that people can download them and people can do this. And I don't care if I sell 1 million copies or if it doesn't sell 1 million copies, but I'm going to put my best effort into making sure that when I do roll it out, it's at least the right effort is behind each project and it's not just kind of like half-assed done. Like a lot of things can be done, like for example, like a podcast as an example, like I'm all for that. Like I've done the same thing myself with podcasts and stuff like that, and certain things you don't want to overthink it, you know, so you got to just give it. And I always call like jump in the pool, right? Don't be a person that put your toe in there and trying to feel if it's cold or not. Just dive into that pool, right? And get it going. And so I feel like that I do that with a lot of projects already, but these ones, they need that special attention, that special care behind it, and make sure that it gets done the right way. And I think a lot of artists are like that too. And a lot of artists actually end up just shelving a lot of stuff that never sees the light of day because of that same mind frame.
I agree. I think the hardest lesson for me to learn so far is when you have the people say negative stuff about you, and it's there. I think I haven't learned to let it hit me and go roll off because I've never been that type of person to want to hurt somebody's feelings or do something stupid, you know? So that's been the hardest lesson for me, but I would love to see something like that come to fruition for you. Well, for me, you know, make it to an FM station, be syndicated, but you know, the same for you, your movie. Oh, have you ever thought about I know you talked about science fiction, but anything kind of like paranormal, like Bigfoot or ghost or
well, like I say that one with the Sasquatch guy, right? The Sasquatch hunter, that would have been awesome to be able to do like a cool, like full out documentary, go to like the place. Because like I said, when you go out west, it's all part of that culture. It's not just like here, there's no signs, there's no like this, that, or that about Sasquatch where I'm at. I'm in like the suburbs, I'm near Toronto, there's no mountains near me, there's no like crazy woods like that. When you go out there, it's part of the culture. Like it's legit. Like it's part of the tourism. It's part of the residential culture. If you're local, it's all part of it. And to be able to like document that and show it in my way, I feel like that's something that I'm really interested in. I'm still in connection with the Sasquatch hunter, and I think that one day I'll be able to pull the trigger on something like that. But other than that, I've never written anything that is paranormal based, like nothing that's like I've written horror, but more like serial killer or true life crime type of style rather than paranormal. But I think you're onto something. Maybe I should be writing something that's paranormal.
Well, you sound creative enough to me. So, I mean, and if you could get the Bigfoot guy to come on the show, bring him. You and him both.
He would love to, for sure. And
you and him both.
I'd love for sure. Yeah, sure. I think also too, there's for your show, there's so many people that are into this niche, if you will. That I think you're tapping into like a really good niche. I think that like keeping it casual conversation and not making it like overly like an interrogation of an interview type of style show. It's like I think that's the way to go about it, and just trying to find unique people. But I think that's the hard part, right? Hard for unique people. But exactly what you just did there, like that's the best way to build a podcast. I tell all my clients this too, is when you bring a guest on, and a refer to the next guest. It's such a good strategy.
Well, it is. Plus, I mean, you're networking too. Because, you know, I'm going to send you to Brenda, who's just starting her show, because the conspiracy theory stuff, we talk about it some here, but not as much. But, and when I started this podcast, I've had cast changes and all kinds of things happen. But when I started it, my vision was, let's just say you're an athlete and ESPN's interviewing you. They're going to ask all the typical, how was the game? What'd you feel like when you hit the home run? Blah, 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 all that crap. But if you come on my show, we're just going to sit here and BS, and I'm going to ask you about stuff they're not, and I'm going to sneak in, hey, you ever had a paranormal experience? I don't want to be that one-hit wonder as he's all Bigfoot guy or psychics. Jesus Christ, I'm beginning to hate psychics. And so there's a story behind that. And so, you know, it's I don't want to be that guy. I want to have everybody, but I don't want to be nailed down. It's like I'm about to go on a run, and I don't know how I got into it, of people who are writing comic books creatively. Now, I'm a comic book nerd, don't get me wrong, but people are now coming to me, and so it's like, that's kind of cool. So,
well, I think that's a good strategy, man. I think like not just doing psychics and mediums or whatever, like everybody, like keeping it more relative and like something that people can kind of like relate to, right? Is like, it's so key, and just keeping it organic and all that kind of stuff. I think everybody's got a little bit of a story or something. Like, I'm sure I've got other stories that I'm thinking of in terms of like the paranormal stuff, but I think like even like the stories that you got out of me, great. Like I've got, like, we talked about Sasquatch, we talked about, you know, some cool stuff that happened on some music videos, we talked about movies, we talked about a little bit of everything, and I think that's what people want to hear.
I agree. I agree. And I've had several agents approach me, and it's unfortunate I don't have money, but
hey, you'll get there, man. And it's not about money. As soon as you make it that it's about money, then that's when you lose the genuineness of the show. And you know,
I'm waiting for an agent to come to me and say, let me give you some money to buy a new computer. Let me give you some money to do this and that. So that's what I'm waiting for.
It must be getting warm because we're getting echoes.
Yeah, and it's getting clicky. So it's about the hour mark. I have a new CPU on order. I melted this one. So when we get,
I've been through my fair share. I can preach by the choir there.
It'll be here. Friday.
But I do appreciate you having me on, and it's very cool to like meet you, Warren, and Dina, and all that. And
thank you.
I'm sure you guys have fun.
So
what's that?
I said Warren talked your arm off. So
you know, Warren's a man of many words.
You can't get a word in between me and you, Glenn.
No, it's perfect though. It's like I was listening to when I wait. Like, you know, back to what you were talking about earlier, like your book reminded me of like Equilibrium with Christian Bale. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
I was just talking about that today. And where else was I going? Bigfoot, Surrounding Mountains. All right, so what if they're like an earlier version of us? Like cataclysm comes, great flood. What do we usually do in ELE events? We go into caves. Like maybe that's just a bodysuit, and they're like,
ooh, I like this. Warren, you can't steal Warren. So.
You're so deep.
Hey, listen, Warren, I'm gonna add you on Instagram. Okay, we're gonna talk.
Yeah.
I'm heavily medicated right now, so my mind's like.
Well, you know what's funny is there's been several people come on my show and friendships, and I encourage it. I really do, because I just think somebody taught me. If I can teach you, it's passing it on.
Yeah.
Well, look, we've talked to you for longer than you wanted us to. I'm guessing, but
come back.
I'm actually having a great time, man. I like to network with people, connect with people, and people from different walks of life and stuff like that. So I'm an open book. I would love to come back on and chat with you guys another time too, and all that kind of stuff. And I'll have to talk with Sasquatch Hunter and get him involved. I think you and him would have some really cool conversations, because I know that's a big interest of yours. I didn't know that. So I learned something new today. That's for sure. So that's
passport's still good.
I'm glad I had actually a little story with the Sasquatch. So to add to the conversation. But
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, everybody we've interviewed, there's only been one person that hasn't had a paranormal story, and she got me. And I say she got me. She's a famous athlete, and she didn't have a paranormal story, but she started the story about when she was a kid and they were in the woods and they were camping. There was outside their tent, and I'm like leaning in more and more to the mic, going, "Yeah." I mean, she was like a great orator of this story. At the end, she goes, "Yeah, it was my dad. He scared the shit out of us." So I'm like, but she, that was, she didn't have a story, but she had a story, and I'm like, okay, you got me. But it was great still. And she said, I would have never told this on ESPN.
Right.
Hey, you reminded me about that prisoner of war camp story. I totally forgot about that. And when I think back now, it's funny how we were all just so pissed off at the moment because we couldn't film that we weren't even thinking paranormal. But on our way back to the car, we all kind of said it, and then you said it, and then I was like, man, ding, ding, ding. It was like, yo, that's probably what it was,
Yeah.
But it could have been. Who knows? Maybe it was the studio just being lazy. I don't know. It could have been.
Yeah.
Dina, did you check the batteries before you went out?
No.
Well, you got to fire your PA. So
no. We picked up the camera equipment, and then we went right to set, and it was our first day with the equipment. And they told us it was charged, and they always give it to us charged, and we just get this pack, and it's got I think 3 or 4 batteries that are just in the pack, and then there's one that's already in the camera. And they did turn on the camera at the studio, so I didn't look at how much battery life was on it, but these people always give us the batteries fully charged. It's a top of the line service.
Then they were charged.
They had to have been charged.
That's crazy.
Uncommon soul.
Yeah, she's my favorite fan.
She's a good one.
It's good to have people active and watching, and I appreciate anyone that is watching this, and anyone that is watching this, you guys make sure that you guys are subscribed here to the channel and all that kind of stuff. And because hey, I think that you guys are pulling out tons of good stories, and I think that there's going to be so many more that are going to be told on here, and I'm now a fan of the show, so that's cool.
Oh, thank you.
Remember, follow, thumbs up, share, all that good stuff. Yeah. All right, man. We're gonna let you get back to your wife and kids, and you're in the same time zone as us, aren't you? Eastern.
10:30 p.m.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's keep in touch, and we'll try and get the Bigfoot guy. And anytime you want to come back on, heck, if you want to just drop in every now and then and be a co-host, I'm okay with that too. So
hey, I'm down. I'm down to come shoot the shit with you guys for sure. You guys seem like some cool people.
Yeah, anytime.
And I'm telling you, next time I'll come with another story, because I've got stories. I only had the one that, because I didn't really know the format of the show, so I didn't really know that it was very conversational, which I love. I'm a big fan of conversational, and I've got stories. I could sit here and talk your ear off all night, so I'll come back another night and talk your ear off.
We will let you.
All right, kitty cat.
From the kitty
cat. I'm gonna put you.
She fell. She fell.
Yeah.
Not gonna put on me again. I've already had Peter.
BobbyDizzle.com. BobbyDizzle.com.
BobbyDizzle.com, yeah.
He's one of the guys that comes in every now and then and helps me do the co-host. Nice. And so whenever I say, if I get hate mail, send it to BobbyDizzle.com.
There you go. And if anyone's watching this and wants to get in touch with me, a good way to get in touch, I like to be on Instagram when it comes to the communications contact. You can get me on Facebook, but Instagram is a good place. Director Dan Barker on Instagram. That's where I post some content from some of my clients. I post some of my stuff, some behind the scenes stuff. And I've got a bunch of more stuff coming down the pipeline, and I've got a bunch of more stories. So I'll definitely have to come back and we'll chat it up and get to know you guys a little bit more. And I got questions for you guys too, because I want to know if you guys think aliens are taking over people. Like, is Joe Biden an alien? We're gonna have to save that for next time.
Yeah, we'll save that for next time.
Now I'm already being worked on being canceled. So yeah.
Hey, if you can get canceled, you're doing something right. That's what I think.
I guess.
I've already got an answer, so we'll have to wait till next time, though.
Done.
All right. Well, Dan, I appreciate it. Come back and see us again. And like I said, if I get a really cool guest, I'll shoot you an email. If you want to come on and be a co-host, come on in.
Yeah, I'm there. You got me on Facebook too. Just shoot me a line anytime. Shoot the shit, anything, and I'll definitely share this around and let people watch our crazy conversations about paranormal, Bigfoot, and all types of cool stuff.
Awesome.
Okay. Now we'll send your info to Brenda, and she'll probably be reaching out because.
All right.
She calls her show Outside the Box. I think she just changes it. Outside the Box now, Dina. It's outside the box, but she's just. I call her crazy.
Now.
I just call her crazy, but I love her to death, so it's not personal.
I like a level of crazy. That's for sure.
She is nice, so it's hard to get a word in.
Yeah, it is. It is outside the box.
I think it's
something else. Now.
She just changed it, but she's only like on her third or fourth show. So
something to box.
Yeah. Some crazy woman contacts you and goes, "Hey, I'm outside the box or whatever." It's from me. So
all right. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon. I'm looking forward to it.
Bye.
All right, night.
Later.
Yeah, I had to order a new CPU because I actually my son was complaining at me.
Yeah.
And it's not the temperature anymore. I'm at 106% use right now.
Oh, Lordy.
So, and well, it is temperature too because, well, it's having to work 3 times as hard. So,
yeah.
But, well, I got a message during the show from Jen.
Yes.
And she had something come up and she wanted to reschedule. And that's absolutely no problem. I understand when you have whatever sick kid or family member or who knows. It's none of my business. I didn't ask and won't ask.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. Family first. So she's more than welcome to come back. We'll get her back in here. But I did enjoy our conversation with him a lot. And
yeah, he's cool.
I think I am gonna actually. I've got a cool one coming up that might be right up his alley. So we'll talk off the air. But anyhow, let's get out of here for the night. I'm gonna let my CPU cool off before county's fire. Dina, where can we find you? Oh, that's right. You're nowhere anymore. I forgot.
I am too. I am on Saturday night.
Misfits. I was just going to pull up my calendar while I was doing that. I was being a jerk to you.
Carry on, yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to be helping sell jewelry, helping my friends sell jewelry. So, I'll be on Facebook doing that with her. So that'll be fun. I'll let everybody know, and you can buy jewelry for your wives or yourself, and I'll be presenting.
I'm all about the bling. So
That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
I'm all about the bling. Yeah, so that's cool. Well, next week is going to be interesting. We have the owner, creative, I don't know, director, producer of Tidal Wave Comics. And we're talking about, and I sent you all a copy of it, so please read it, the Dolly Parton comic book.
Oh,
But
nice.
Tidal Wave Comics also just did one on the Kelsey Swift whatever you call it,
that comic book.
relationship or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be emailing him, and we're going to be pulling that out of him too. So we'll have that on next week. And following after that, I have a separate comic book artist. So next week is just Comic Book Con for me. So I'll be a nerd.
Cool.
So not a whole lot of paranormal in Dolly Parton, but she did release a rock and roll song, which the song is good, but the album, I mean, if Dolly comes on, I'm not going to tell her it's bad. Trust me.
Now, Dolly can tell you some stories, I'm sure.
Actually, Dolly can. Yes, I've heard some things. So, and there's actually haunted parts of Dollywood. So
Yes.
you probably know about that being up there. So
Not all of it, but
we also have Friday night, we have the Grin and Guardian show. I have a gentleman coming on who is a former police officer outside of Washington, D.C., was one of the first on scene at the Pentagon on 9/11. And he went on to be an FBI hostage negotiator in several high-profile cases. So he's going to be on the Grin and Guardian show, which is Friday night at 9 p.m. right here. And then Saturday, Dina's kind of sent us a little pseudo script, so we're going to roll with that and see what happens. She's trying to make criminals, so
I am not. It will be fun. Trust me. Just roll with it.
You have something you'll show me there. You got something?
Yeah, actually, I made a shirt for Wendell if he's still in chat. I mean, it's kind of it's explicit. I mean.
Him and Bobby went to Facebook.
Well, yeah, you can show it. Yeah, just as long as we don't say anything. Yeah, so.
Let's see.
Well,
oh, that's cute.
Hey, it's a ninja minion. Balls.
Does it?
And it glows in the dark.
And it glows in the dark.
It
Wendell,
does. That's so cute. Is there anything on the back?
Oh, no. Well, there could be, but.
Can't show it.
You put a Misfit on there. How about that? Oh, okay. If you have Guyz, okay, never mind. So, Uncommon Soul. I'm going to text you a private number. So if you want to check. So. Yeah, so that, and tomorrow you can hear me noon until 2 Eastern Daylight Time. I am rocking and rolling on the the Thin Line Rock Radio Station.com. Now, Uncommon Soul, you need to make sure to listen to me tomorrow from noon to 2 on the Thin Line Rock Station and shoot me a rock and roll request. That'll make my day if I get a rock and roll request. So I'll tell you how tomorrow. How about that? So, but yes, I will send you a private text. So,
maybe Uncommon Soul would like to join us on the Misfits.
There's an idea. Uncommon Soul. We will. We will chat about that. I will send her the link. I would like for her to come on the Misfits. So,
yeah.
That would make my day. I've had a couple down days here recently, so that would actually make my day. So, but we can chat about that later. I think that's all we got going on, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that's the next week, the Misfits, and then next week is the comic book with Dolly Parton, and I don't remember what the other. I'm so sorry, John. I don't remember what your comic book's about. I've seen so many in the past 3 days. Yeah, we're not going. I know you guys love the paranormal, but there's so much to the paranormal. We're going on a little tear here recently of some comic book stuff that's all paranormal, but it's comic book stuff. So just go with my inner nerd. It'll be okay. So we're giving Warren more things to draw. So
Wendell, Warren, Wendell.
Warren, Wayne.
You're going to be
Warren. Whatever. Starts with
You're going to be Warren Wendell, and Wendell's going to be Wendell Warren. That way, if we call you anything else.
Yeah. So,
I need a nickname.
Well,
yeah, you do.
we're also considering a Patreon account. And I'm not doing this for the money, but I'm thinking to put out maybe 4 special shows a month. I think $1 a month would be fair starting out. So I'm thinking about that. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Just a thought. If you want to give $1 a month to the show, that would help the Patreon. It would help me buy a new GPU or CPU or whatever the hell they're called. That
And pay for our airtime as well.
Yeah. And there's a couple other things I want. I want a phone. I want our own phone number. Not that I don't like Jurgs's, but I would like to have 1-800 the cat or something. I don't know, because he's got me with his Jurgs. Got me want my own nerd one. So
yeah.
But that's being a nerd.
1-800 the nerd.
That's probably taken. But by the way, I do want to send out a special shout out to Jurgs Radio and jurgsradio.com because they do a lot for us. So I'm not taking anything away from them. But,
right.
Anytime you get something cool in your name, it's kind of cool. That's why Ross does it. It's cool to have his name out there. It would be for me too. 1-800 Sportcat. So, all right. That's probably enough numbers off. All right. We got to get
Yeah, 1-8.
Melting.
1-8 something.
Do a 900. To my OnlyFans account.
Yes.
We went up for our hour mark too, but it's all good.
It's all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you soon. Warren, thank you for hopping in here. You got to learn to jump in.
Yeah. Oh well, it's I don't know. It disrupts the flow.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
No,
Yeah,
you're
it
part of it.
It does. Thank you.
Yes, the chat
We
does
love
help.
the chat.
And we know people engage. So plus it helps.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better. I feel like I'm doing something that people like. So.
Yeah.
Well, they're tuning in to keep coming back. Wendell, we got a free shirt.
Yeah, Wendell. He left because we stepped on a big bit. All right, guys and gals, we will see you soon. We love you, appreciate it. Thumbs up, all that other good stuff. Hit the subscribe and whatever other buttons.
Share, like.
Yeah, share, like, follow, send the cash, whatever. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.